Back on the Model 40 crawler. I've got it backed in this time, and the reason for that is because according to the manual, to lift the motor off, I have to be able to lift it off with this stud right here. So the starter is way to the back, which is in here, and I don't have any issue with having to remove that or the wiring. Just a little bit of wiring for the coil pack, which is located at the front. A little bit for the wiring, which are on a couple of stabs for the light, and the generator, which is located here. I'll mark each of these wires. I had done it in the past, but they seem that they've kind of gotten dried out and they're going to fall off, so we don't want that to happen. According to the manual, we'll walk over here, and it shows that what we do here is we put a lifting eye, and that's the balance point for this engine. That flywheel here weighs about 80 pounds, so it's got a 7/16 fine thread, and I made this out of a piece of hex and threaded it. So that's going to be my lifting bolt or lifting eye, and we'll get this prepped up. Part of the work to be done is to fix the leak on the radiator. Going to change the coolant in the machine. It hasn't been changed in since I did the restoration. That's probably about 25 years ago, and we'll fix that leak in here. You can kind of see it's damp underneath here, so I'm going to take that apart and clean it up and resolder it, and that should give me that rad smell should go away, and a couple of small little items that have to come off here. Once the rad's off, I'll have to pull the hydraulic. This is a return line and a filter screen. I've never had it out. I should take a look. And of course the front end where the high pressure line is from it. The pump runs all the time for the hydraulic system, whether you use it or not. The belly pan has been removed. A block of wood on a floor jack was used to lower it down. There's only 4 bolts holding it on. Of course, you can see where the pressure washer does get over the years, and a little bit of dirt has accumulated in there. When Deere designed this, at least they were thinking about being able to drain the cooling system, and I didn't need a wrench or a pair of pliers or anything, just loosened it and away we go. So we'll let that drain. I'll clean this belly pan up a little bit, and I'll see about undoing some wires. This fuel line has to be disconnected between the carburetor, the choke line, as well cable. This is, believe it or not, all this up here, that's a throttle. It goes onto here, onto a spring, and onto a rod that operates the governor and the throttle. So, kind of neat old machine. I have the rad out, and you can see over the years, I believe this was done before I got it. It must have had a couple of pinholes in here. Something went through the fan or whatever, and it's been soldered a bit. Here's where I have to do the repair. We'll deal with that later. We'll get the fan shroud off, get this cleaned up, and then repair it and resolder it. Over here, I still got the engine on the crawler, just disconnecting the wire harness. There's not much to it. When I rebuilt this tractor years ago, Deere had a spare wire harness, and it was only like $65, and I thought, oh, for that kind of money, you know, why not? Looking at what's going on here, there's some kind of an oil leak, but it's not like it's a wet oil leak. I mean, it's all dried out. The dust has gotten in here, and over the time it's absorbed it. So, but I think I'm going to have to take this counter, or this front bump weight off. This is actually called a bumper here at the front, and if you don't have a blade on it, it was there so that if you wanted to push something, you could, without damaging the crawler. That's the intent of it. But I don't think it's going to balance right if I don't take it off, because looking in the manual, it shows just the engine without that weight. So I might have to take that off, put a jack under it, and a block of wood to support it. You can see here, this is where the hole is for to hand start it, and you can see how it engages into that pulley, so that when it does start, it kicks the hand crank out, so you don't rip your arm off. little more progress. I have removed the throttle lever from the top, and it's got that long rod that goes over and connects to the governor here. I rebuilt all that out of stainless years ago when I did the restoration, primarily because the steel pieces were so rusted up and pitted and whatever. So I figured, well, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. So stainless was a choice. A little more challenging, but just how it is. Had to take the carb off, and once I looked at the manual, once again, you know, guys in manuals, sometimes we just don't want to look at them. But said you have to remove the carburetor and turn it sideways so you can get the choke cable off of it. So that's been done. Air cleaner had to come off as well, because it's held here by this front bracket, which is part of this weight, and the air cleaner straddles on this, so that's got to come off. I did a little bit of scraping with a plastic tool, this one here, trying to get some of the grit off of here without scratching all the paint off. Ideally, it would be nice to be able to power wash it, but as you know, a crawler doesn't really move very well if it doesn't have an engine that runs. So I'll just keep chipping away at it. Next part, I've got to take this weight off, release these two hydraulic lines, because they're going back over here to the valve block and to that hydraulic reservoir. So once I get those off, I think I'm pretty much set up that I can take the engine bolts off. I can rig it. I'll take this nut off and put that eye bolt on, and get ready to lift it and pry it apart. This here has been a struggle trying to get this hydraulic high pressure line out of this fitting, and to do that I have to disconnect all these other fittings on top of this hydraulic return tank, and that goes all the way through to the front where we have a engine driven off the timing gear hydraulic pump. Now, a part of me wants to just change this out with a rubber hydraulic line and better fittings, and I imagine the reason why these fittings are so difficult is that's what they had at the time, and it just makes it complicated. So I'll see. I've probably been at it an hour trying to get that out, and sometimes you can only turn a 1/12 on the wrench. You can't even turn a whole flat, so that just makes it so difficult. Well, I've managed to split the engine from the crawler, and to move the crawler back, again, I'm just using a floor jack on a pad and trying to get it to move backwards. But for some reason, the drive shaft, which is in here, I'm going to have to see about putting a pipe wrench or something on it. It's just on a spline. It should just come right out. You can probably see the beginning of the spline. But it was so worn, my fear was it was eventually going to turn and lock in the spline, and I'm just not sure. Maybe that's what's happened over the last 26 years. So that's why I want to take this apart and deal with it. I may have to walk this crawler back with the floor jack to a point where I can get in there and remove the release bearing. I know when I put it together before, I had the engine mounted on the transmission, or what they called propeller housing, and then I just pushed it through and put it into the splines on the clutch disc. But for some reason, it's not cooperating, and I haven't figured that out yet. Well, I'm in a state of perplexion as I look at this. This end is really good. And I don't remember now if I redid it on my lathe and with my indexing head in the milling machine. I could have borrowed a cutter to recut the spline and index it. What I'm going to do is pull the other end out. I got to get this throw-up bearing out of the way to do that, but I'll do that and see if there's an issue at the other end, and if I have to, I'll redo that end. But in my mind, I remember taking this out, and this was notched. It was very thin. It was worn away, and I was kind of concerned about it. It wouldn't last. But this here looks okay. It looks like something I've welded. So there's a good chance I did fix it. I didn't take any notes. That's one of the problems when I did this 26 years ago. And now I don't remember what I did and what I didn't do. So anyhow, might not be as bad of job after all. I'm just going to take a look at it and possibly put it all back together. Currently it's Tuesday, April the 7th, 2026. And I'm trying to remember what I did with this machine, and I believe that is the original end on it. I believe the problem on the drive shaft was at the other end. So what I've had to do, of course, if you remember, well, you see a few moments ago, I removed the engine, and now I'm trying to take this tube out here, which has got what they call the propeller shaft or drive shaft in it. So there's quite a bit that's got to come apart. You know, the dash, I'm going to try to keep it along with this bracket because it's got a wiring harness through it, and I don't want to take that all apart. Plus, for the temperature gauge, it has a it actually has a capillary, so I don't want to try to mess around with that, so I'm going to take that all off as one piece. And next after would be to remove the hydraulic tank. Just to let you know, on these old tractors, what they use is actually 10W30 or straight 30 oil for hydraulic oil. This was the beginning of hydraulics. Deere was a pioneer in the hydraulic type system. And then the footrests have to come out, the clutch and the brake pedals have to come out. And at that point in time, I should be okay because the undercarriage is supported on a frame with these two side rails that are right here. So what I should be able to do is release these big bolts here, 4 at the back, 2 at the front from the side frames, and get a sheet of wood underneath this and along with some blocking, and I should be able to just slide that forward with the drive shaft. And I may have to try to take a look at those splines and maybe even do a little TIG welding on them. I don't want to pull the transmission out of it, but what I'll end up doing is maybe TIG welding it a bit and just grinding it back down just to give it a little bit more meat, if it's how I remember it. So we'll see what's going to happen. It's going to take a while, but I just keep pecking away at this. As I continue to take parts off, it's apparent that when this was built, pieces were just added and it becomes complicated to remove them. Anyways, to get this propeller shaft out, this tube, 2 big bolts, 1 on either side, 4 big ones there. I've disconnected the pedals. One is for the throwout bearing. There's an operating rod that comes in and the bearing moves back and forth. The bearing does look good, so that's all right. And my hope is that I'm going to be able to just disconnect that and slide it forward enough so that I can get it out on the blocking. And once it's out on the blocking, I can maybe turn it one way or the other, or even tip it up for that matter, and remove the shaft and take a look at the splines on the input shaft of the transmission, where I think that's where the problem is. Hasn't broken yet, but I don't want it to break, so I want to address that. I managed to get this part of the tractor apart and remove the drive shaft. That's about as far as you need to get it out. And looking at this, the spline's got a little bit of wear on them, but taking a file to it, it actually skates off of it, so it's quite hard. The shaft has been leaking at the seal here, so I'm looking at getting another seal. Of course, it was an old seal. I guess I didn't change that one, but there is a superseded number from Chicago Rawhide CR seal, so it's available, about $15. I'm going to change that while I have that apart. And we'll go over to the bench and I'll show you what's going on with the other part of the shaft. Looking at the shaft, I believe I've rebuilt this. Because when I remember seeing it before, it had a groove way in like this and hardly had anything left in it. So I do believe I redid this end, but it's this end here which has got a little bit of issue to it. What you can see is actually the bottom of the spline on this end is quite wide, and then the peak is quite narrow. And I didn't have any way of making it. I didn't have a shaper. So, and I think there's a little piece of a shim right in there that I tried to tighten it up a little bit when I put it back together. It did have a pin in it, but of course, because it's wiggling so much, it just sheared that off. So what I want to do is I'm going to rebuild this part, and I'll get use out of my shaper. I'll have to get a slug of 1045 steel. I have taken a file to it. This is considerably softer than what's on the input shaft on the transmission. Currently, I'm in the process of making up a tool to do that inside spline. I'm going to use a shaper with the vise, and to get the profile I need, what I've done is here we have the spline, and what you see on there is a blob of body filler. And once that cures, I'll be able to remove it and take the cross section and be able to grind a tool that can go into a tool holder, which I'm currently making, to do the inside spline on a piece of 1045 2-inch diameter steel. This is the tool for the shaper, and I've made it with a 5/8 square hole. I've got to put a set screw here in at the end, and I've just got it set up. I just finished welding it. Not the greatest weld, but I'm still learning with this new MIG welder. I haven't had that many projects to use it on just to get the hang of it. I'm going to make the new spline section, which is right here on the end. You can see it is quite a bit worn. So I'm going to make that out of this piece of, that's 1 5/8 and outside diameter, or OD. This is 2-inch, and because I can't get an indexer and I don't have one for that metal shaper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 4-inch length of this, shank it down to 1 inch, and then I'm going to put this in my indexing head and machine a flat, 6 flats on it, 3/16 of an inch, and that will be my indexing, so that I can now clamp this in the vise on the metal shaper. This is my stub that I'm going to make the spline out of. So what I'm going to do to index it is I'm going to put 6 flats, 1 flat on 6 sides, and then afterwards I'm going to bore it out. I'm going to cut this off here and then hold this in the vise on the shaper and cut the spline on the inside.